executive health is no longer just about getting an annual checkup. In today's high-stakes, high-stress environment, longevity, performance, and mental clarity are strategic priorities for business leaders too, as the demands of leadership don't just wear on your schedule, they wear on your heart, your mind, and your overall well-being. To talk more about executive health and wellness, I sat down with top cardiologist Dr. Fabio Enrique Posas to explore the new frontier of executive wellness and how leaders can invest in their most important asset, themselves. Here's that interview. If you've been stressed out lately, whether it's because of the elections or something else entirely, this next segment is for you. In the world of business, stress, long hours, and high-stakes decision-making are daily realities, as are silent health risks often overlooked until it's too late. In response, a growing number of executives are turning to high-end wellness programs, combining early detection, preventive cardiovascular care, and strategic health planning to stay at the top of their game. What should business leaders prioritize if they want longevity, resilience, and peak performance? And how has technology changed the game? Joining us now to break it all down is one of the country's most respected cardiologists, Dr. Fabio Enrique Posas. Dr. Posas, welcome, and thank you for joining us.
Good morning, Maiki.
Okay, so Dr. Posas, based on your experience working with top executives, what are the key concerns that you see most frequently among this particular group?
The key concerns really of the individuals who are driven business people is really that these individuals are working under very hard environments, stressful environments. And so stress is one of those factors. Stress leads to problems with weight, with sleep, with how you approach decisions. And as a result, because they are busy and they are stressed, they also don't exercise. So it's the whole thing comes together against them in the sense that their health is impacted not only by their age and their genetic predisposition, but also the environments they're working in.
Because you know, all the illnesses that you have, it's just the body's response to the situation at hand, right?
Correct.
The high stress environment. Okay, taking a look at people in their 40s, 50s, 60s, and above. Let's start with males. What are the key illnesses that plague these types, this age group?
The 40-year-old, specifically the males, we know several natural history things in medicine. One is that males tend to develop heart attacks much younger than females. And that is a well-known issue. The females are protected by estrogen. We aren't necessarily protected by estrogen.
Too bad the guys can't take estrogen
You don't
pills.
lose your voice.
Their voices will go down and they'll get boobs.
Yes, absolutely.
Okay, so that's not going to work for the guys.
So that just doesn't work for males. But what does work is the realization that beginning 40s, we need a better check. And we need to start looking at our health. We're no longer 25. We know that the incidence of coronary artery disease, heart attack, sudden death, begins at about 40 for males. Likewise, the new data suggests that cancer, colon cancer specifically, occur at a much younger age, such that the American College of Oncology suggests that we start doing screenings for colon cancer, for example, at age 45.
Yeah, the age has decreased.
Yeah, earlier, if you have a family history of colon cancers.
Okay, and what about females, Dr. Posas?
For females, in general, estrogen protects you. Gives you the headache
by about a decade, right? But then everything creeps up regardless of gender at a certain point.
Yes, and it is a well-known fact. Females have developed coronary artery disease, for example, 10 years after the menopause. So they develop cancers and everything else at a much later date than males, except if they are genetically predisposed or if they are diabetics or smoke.
Okay, interestingly, we've seen a lot of sudden health scares, some even fatal, among high-profile individuals, some very young, not even senior citizens. What are the, can you talk to us about conditions that have come up? You know, people have been talking about abdominal aortic aneurysms. They've been coming out of nowhere. What is it, and how can we safeguard against this type of illness?
Aneurysms are one of the most difficult killers to pick up in medicine, primarily because if it's in the thorax, it's within the thorax, so there's no way to palpate that. And if you have individuals with big bellies, it is very, very difficult to palpate a mass in the aorta. So therefore, in order for us to be able to understand that, one is you got to look at your genes. How many of your first-degree relatives have had aneurysms of the aorta? That should trigger earlier screening. Two, if you have the risk factor for atherosclerotic disease, hypertensive, smoker, obese, stressed, you got to start paying attention to atherosclerotic disease because aneurysms are atherosclerotic processes. And screen them. For example, males, 60, who had a bypass, that patient should have a screen.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Would an ultrasound of the entire abdomen help detect and prevent these types of abdominal aortic aneurysms?
The abdominal ultrasound itself can give you an idea about how the aorta looks. If you need a better test to do these, assuming that you do have the right indications and the right profile of patients, we can do our aortic duplex scans, which are more specific for the aorta.
How do you know when you need one?
One is, did you see any, based on profile, one. Two is, what about the patient? Any symptoms? That they have abdominal pains, back pains? That tends to trigger us to look deeper into the potential issues triggering
because this
the
isn't
pain.
something that typically comes up in an executive screening, in an executive checkup. These are the things that you have to call on for.
And we often uncover aneurysms, unsuspected aneurysms in individuals undergoing executive checkups.
Do you suggest people start incorporating them into their executive health checkups?
They should.
And at what age?
For aneurysms itself, if you have the genetics, if you have the risk factors, at an earlier age, you should probably screen that. If you have had a history of coronary artery disease, you're a male, female, beyond 60, you should probably have a once-in-a-lifetime screen for aneurysm.
Mm-hmm. Okay, in executive wellness programs, we often hear about early detection. Early detection is everything. What are the specific screening protocols nowadays that make that difference?
The specific screening protocols have to take into account what is it exactly that predisposes the patients themselves, the specific patient, to specific diseases. So for example, if you have a patient with hypertension, dyslipidemia, diabetes, obese, is not exercising, has a big belly, the likelihood of developing atherosclerotic disease is very, very high. So therefore, we pattern diagnostic strategies looking for coronary artery disease, diseases that predispose to strokes, diseases predisposed to cancer.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Another thing that's changed the game is technology. Dr. Posas, you've been in the business for over 30 years. How has technology changed from when you first started to where we are now?
Oh, technology has made a terrific difference. We have better imaging techniques. We can now virtually look at you, put you on an imaging modality and be able to tell you a lot more than we were ever able to tell you. Second is we have better medicines. And third is we have genetic studies now. We got tumor markers, for example. We can do now samples from blood and then pick up cells, abnormal cells that may indicate cancer within patients. Technology is moving. And we should be able to have those tests more validated and more readily available in the next couple of years.
Mm-hmm. The science and the technology and the research is all just getting better over time. But there's still a lot of work to be done. In terms of the medical technology space, where does the Philippines stand vis-a-vis the rest of the world or perhaps our peers in Southeast Asia? I understand that at St. Luke's, just 6 to 7 months ago, you did your first robotic surgery. Can you tell us about the tech landscape in the country and what that robotic surgery entailed?
The tech landscape, in general, Filipino physicians are pretty good. What we have lacked in the past was good research and good medical facilities. The Philippines now is endowed with quite a few centers with highly advanced medical facilities. We in St. Luke's, for example, we've created the Structural Heart and Vascular Intervention Center. And that center is basically designed to promote and expand options of care for patients who need them. And in that regard, we actually are looking at minimally invasive procedures.
That's a nice thing with the tech now. Everything can be done minimally invasively.
Invasive, yes.
Right.
So now we can do bypasses without doing the big open procedures. We can change valves without doing the big open procedures. We can change valves even without general anesthesia.
Wow.
So terrific improvements in terms of minimizing the scope of interventions.
And in precision and in accuracy.
Correct.
Also, better imaging enables you to see with more clarity and make better decisions. Okay, on another front, many high-end executive programs now offer stem cell therapy. What do you think of this type of regenerative medicine? Is it hype or is it something that's going to be a need from now on?
I'm not a stem cell specialist.
Yeah.
But I do read a lot, and I've done quite a bit of research.
And your patients are undergoing stem cell therapy. Case in point, my father-in-law, your patient, is in Tokyo now doing this stem cell treatment. What do you think about this?
In general, no. In medicine, you never close your eyes because technology keeps moving.
Yeah.
And data will come that may show some benefits for this. We do know that stem cell therapy benefits quite a few medical problems, hematologic problems, bone marrow issues, lymphomas, leukemias, that kind of thing. We know that that works. Osteoarthritis, tendon issues, we know that that works. There's even some data now that perhaps among individuals who are having an acute heart attack, that giving the stem cells may actually help. Data small, but stimulating questions about how much benefit can we provide. The technology, the issue of stem cells for health, wellness, not a lot of data. There's still a lot of data to be provided by those individuals who do the therapy.
Yeah.
And so it is very important. One is what cell are you getting?
Yeah. Initially, it was like from sheep, right?
Yes, correct.
They'll get the stem cells from sheep. They regenerate it in a petri dish, and then they put it in you. But now they're able to extract that from yourself, from your own stem cells.
Correct.
Take it out. They do something with it, and then they put it back in you, and it's supposed to help you, help regenerate your organs, your tissues.
Yeah. I think we've moved on. For example, the sheep stem cells.
That's
it doesn't make a lot of sense to insert a foreign cell into a human body. Just doesn't make a lot of sense. Scientifically, it doesn't make a lot of sense. And it's never been approved by the FDA, WHO, or any other significant medical delivery service. However, the issue of the mesenchymal stem cells is kind of interesting. The thought is right, but the data isn't there yet. How do you tell a pluripotential stem cell, the cell that can become anything, to go into the heart where you need it, to go to the kidney where you need it?
We're not yet there yet.
The technology isn't there, but it is interesting, and I think it is going to get there.
Yeah, there is the potential in that. Okay. Yeah. For executives in their 40s, 50s, 60s who are constantly under pressure, what does a smart, personalized health strategy look like in 2025?
The first word should be stay healthy. And when I say stay healthy, is adopt a lifestyle that is in keeping with maintaining your health. Stay trim, don't allow the belly. The belly is one of the biggest risk factors for heart disease. Keep on your diet. For business people, alcohol may be an issue. They have to entertain, they go to restaurants, they eat more than they need, they drink more than they need.
Yes.
So keeping an eye on how much alcohol you're taking may actually be important for your own health. Because alcohol, even though they used to say that alcohol in moderation was good for health, data now suggests that there is no amount of alcohol that is necessarily healthy.
Okay, on another front, let's talk about mental health, because that's just as important as physical health, especially for leaders under pressure. these executives are under immense pressure, lots of stress. How do we make sure that mental health is intact? Because they need to make the big decisions to move things forward.
Yeah, and it is not uncommon, business executives who are very successful may think that they are bulletproof and that anxiety or any mental illnesses does not apply to them. But oftentimes they may be wrong, and therefore seeking the right help, group helps or whatever else, may actually be a benefit.
Okay, all right. Let's do a quick fire round.
Yeah.
Coffee, chocolate. Some say they're good for the heart. What's fact and what's fiction?
Dark chocolate.
Dark chocolate.
Makes sense.
Okay, coffee.
Yeah. Coffee in moderation.
Everything in moderation. Okay, what daily habits do you wish more of your patients would adopt for long-term health?
It's exercise, well-balanced diets. Remember that now there's good data now showing that diets actually can prolong life. Mediterranean diet data seems to be pretty good. Intermittent fasting has been shown to be a benefit. So there's a lot of issues that you can address in terms of diet. And then second is, of course, keep exercising.
Yeah, okay.
Don't lose muscle mass. Remember that andropause, meaning the loss of muscle mass, is one of the first indicators of aging. Mm-hmm. And so therefore, keeping your muscle mass is very important.
Yeah, all right. Is it true that we need less sleep as we age?
As we age, sleep latency shortens. So in general, people who are older tend to sleep less.
Yeah, but the expectation also is that the amount of work that you do decreases as you age. So less sleep, less work. You can't have less sleep and the same amount of work as you had when you were younger.
Correct.
Okay.
But it's natural also. That's a known issue, is that as you age, sleep latency shortens.
But for the executives that are having a hard time, that have sleep disorders, that struggle to get a good night's rest, what is the remedy for them?
Oftentimes, they go out, have a meeting, have a dinner, drink alcohol. Alcohol is not very good for sleep. Yeah, even though some say that they drink a shot to be able to sleep, but in general, it disturbs sleep. Lower your coffee, exercise. The key there is to look back at your healthy lifestyle and adopt it. If you need help, then psych can help address some of the anxieties that may be influencing your sleep patterns.
Yeah, and it's also our culture. Alcohol is celebratory. You don't say, okay, I close the deal, let's have some tea, right?
Correct.
There's a lot of changes that need to be put forward.
But it is in moderation, it's what I always say, moderation is the mother of all the good things.
Mm-hmm. How about power naps? How good are power naps for individuals that can have them?
I think for those individuals who are comfortable with it and who can have it, I don't see anything wrong. Yeah.
Okay. Now, going back to poor sleep, how does poor sleep affect you negatively? I mean, what does it do? You're a cardiovascular specialist.
Poor sleep is a significant issue, and it has to be dichotomized. Why is it that you don't have restful sleep? So you got to start looking at, are you snoring a lot? Is your wife or your husband kicking you in the middle of the night to stop you from snoring?
Yeah, a lot of people have undiagnosed sleep apnea.
Undiagnosed sleep apnea. And that translates into tiredness during the day and even mental issues as you go during the day because you're not sleeping well. And so if you are snoring heavily, if you're kind of overweight, and your wife or your spouse or your significant other is having to kick you in the bed to wake you up, seek help, because sleep apnea can be managed, and you can decrease mortality, strokes, hypertension, heart attacks if you moderate the effect of sleep apnea.
Yeah, and just need to be proactive about our health.
Absolutely.
Dr. Posas, lastly, what's the message you'd like to give to business leaders that have built companies? They map out their strategies for years to come, but have neglected their health in the process. If they could take away one thing from this interview, what is one thing that you would like to tell them or impart on them so that they can live longer, happier, and more healthy lives?
The question really is, it's a life balance, life-work balance, right? How much do you really need to be happy? And can you really think that you are going to build your business and not take care of your body? Because that often happens, right? We get so busy, we don't pay attention to our health, and yet, at the end of the day, is you get a cancer, you got all the money, you go anywhere else, nothing can be done. So all that effort that you put in to build your businesses don't go much because you did not pay attention to your own body. So it's very important. Keep an eye on your body. Stay healthy. I mean, you will enjoy whatever you made better if you actually keep healthy.
Yeah, just keep visiting your doctor.
Absolutely, and don't forget the docs.
Yeah. All right. Thank you so much, Dr. Posas. You know, health is a strategy too, as with business, and we just have to be on top of both fronts.
You know what I often say to patients? People are better at taking care of their cars than they are taking care of their own bodies. If you hear a knocking on the hood of that car, you'll send that car right up to the shop. Oftentimes we have symptoms. We don't pay attention to our own bodies, to our own detriment. So be proactive, stay healthy.
Well, thank you. Thank you for your thoughts, and thank you for sharing your time with us, Dr. Posas. Executive health is a top priority. Let's all make it that.